Do you struggle with anatomy, especially the one for the legs? Well, sit right there, for I'm going to teach you the anatomy of the legs and how to connect them to a character. Let's get into it. Starting off with the front view, let's add a simple rectangle for the pelvis box, where we're going to attach some simplified legs. Let's make the upper leg slightly larger at the top outer part, and taper it down to the knee. For the lower leg, we'll still make it tapering down. It will have 2 bumps on the upper side of the calf muscles. And the other leg is gonna be just the same. Since the view is from the front, we see both sides having bumps, but the inside bump is going to sit lower than the outside bump. This is kind of important. Now that we're finished with the basic shapes for the legs, let's add a little bit more detail and add a shield kind of shape to the knee, and let's open it up on the top, just like this. Before going any further, let's draw this thin and long muscle called the sartorius, connecting the pelvis area to the inside of the middle part of the upper leg. With that done, we can go back to the kneecap. We'll add the 3 main muscles around this section. The first one will be a long one in the middle, and it's called the intermedius. It will start from that open knee part. Let's make it round and connect it to the sartorius, and the other line going up and around along the upper leg, up to the pelvis box. Now, he has 2 friends, the medialis on the inner part of the leg, and it will go around and close up to the sartorius. And the other one, the lateralis, will do the same on the opposite side, but it will go all the way up to the pelvis box for this front view. Let's repeat this on the other side. And by the way, the muscle that sits on the inside of the sartorius is called the adductors. It's one of the muscles from the hamstring groups, and we'll see more of them on the back view. Alright, I want you to note that the other leg is slightly rotated, so we'll have to indicate the connection of the sartorius to the knee. We'll indicate the whole shape around the knee on both sides, and while we're at it, let's indicate the lower leg bone in the middle. We'll simplify this part on the lower leg with just 1 bone, and we'll connect the 2 ankle bones that stick out into it. Let's do it on the other side too, and you can indicate that the inner of these ankle bones sits higher than the outer one. Now we can indicate the calf muscles on the other side of the leg. And just to not neglect the pelvis box too much, let's add the glutes for the bum. Okay, now that we're finished with the front view, let's add some volumes for these muscles with some shape contour. And keep in mind that these are indications for the volume and not for the fiber direction of each muscle. Very good. It seems complicated at first, but once you understand these muscles, it becomes rather simple. Let's dive into another angle. For the side view, we're going to start with a box for the pelvis and add 2 tapering down cylinders and the knee and the simplified shape for the foot for now. Alright, let's add a separation for the glutes and a little bit of volume for the rear part. For the front of the leg, let's give it a little bit of volume, and for the back too, though a little less and only for half of the upper leg. Now I'll fix the shape of the pelvis muscles, and for the side of the leg, I will attach the vastus lateralis or lateralis, which is one of the 3 main muscles we drew on the front view, and now we're seeing it from the side. And that will help us define the back leg muscles or the hamstrings. On the lower leg, let's define the calf's muscle, then the long bone on the front of the lower leg too. Here I defined some of the long muscles of the lower leg, sitting between the bone and the calves, but you can ignore this if it confuses you, because I didn't draw it in the front view. And it's something that it's not really represented, so you can ignore it. For the glutes, I will add the separation to show the side muscle, which is visible from the front and is called the tensor. With that being done, it's time to add some volume contours and we're done with the side. Alright, it's time for that back view. This one is very easy and quick, so let's get into it. Just like the front view, we add the pelvis box just the same and attach the legs with its upper and lower cylinders, tapering down, and add a little indication for the butt, just to show off that we're looking at the back. Let's show the calves bumps for the lower legs, and don't forget to make the bumps lower on the inside of the leg than the outer. At the bottom, let's just add 2 simple shapes for the feet in the left direction. Now for the upper leg muscles, let's show here on the side the lateralis muscle. From the back view, this will rotate towards the front, and on this view will end at the middle of the upper leg. For the middle section, let's add a triangle shape for each leg. Split the upper and lower leg until the bottom of the calves. Here we can add another triangle shape for them and finish the form of the calves outwards in a diamond shape. On the outer parts of the calves, the shape will go down. And here I will fix the position of the right leg's calves in relation to the foot. Since the foot is leaning to the left, the calves will be counter-rotated to the right, opposing that direction. I'll do the same for the hamstrings and add some fixing for the butt, and finish with adding a gap between the calves and the hamstrings, there behind the knee. After adding volume contours, that is it for the back view of the legs. Congrats for making it through. You are a master of the legs, but wait, there's more. To reward yourself for making it through the tutorial, let's create a character with an interesting leg pose. Let's do a character showing the insides of the leg. Starting off, let's make the head looking slightly up. For the body, let's make it pretty straight with the torso and the pelvis box, and we'll see a little bit of the bottom of these shapes. It's going to be a small upshot to emphasize the legs more. For the simplification of the legs, one leg is going to be straight and the other one closed. But since he's standing in one leg, we'll have to draw the standing leg a little bit more to the center of the body, for balance. For the arms, since we don't want it to steal the show, let's draw them closed. And I'm not going too much in depth in the anatomy of the details of the body, but if you want, you can check on my channel for a video on different parts, like the mannequin, the torso, and the arms. Alright, back to the legs. Let's add a crotch and finalize the connection between the pelvis and the legs. For the straight leg, it's easy, we saw it before. It's straight down with a little bulge for the lower hip part. For the other leg, it's going to start kind of in the middle of the pelvis box, so we need to leave a little bit of line or a side for the tensor. Now let's add the knees, and on the bent leg, the knee shield will look a little bit longer here, and it will obviously be on the side of the leg, since it's rotated. For the line separating both the upper and the lower leg is decided by which of the two is in front. So since they are both in the same kind of priority, any line would work, but I feel like the bottom one on top looks the best. Now let's go to the straight leg and add the sartorius muscle, and then add the intermedius and the two side brothers, the medialis and the lateralis. For the lower part of the leg, let's add the calves with the outside one higher than the inner one, and the bone mass going down and fusing with the ankles. Alright, let's go back to the bent leg and add the muscles on it. Starting off with the sartorius, it will wrap around the medialis, which, speaking of, we will see completely, and we will also see the intermedius sitting on top. On the inner part of the sartorius will sit the adductors, and for the lower leg, the calves and the bone mass will suffice. And after adding some line weight and some small correction, that is it. I will add some volume contours to emphasize the main muscles we touched on. Alright, new muscles and weird names, but if you managed to follow this tutorial until now, you're a legend. If you have any questions related to art, drop a comment and I'll be glad to cover it in the next video. And if you got value out of this video, give it a like and consider subscribing for more videos like this. I'll be soon dropping a video on how to draw the heads. Alright, thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next session.